Hello and welcome. Once again, we're here with Chest of Blades. Last week was a little bit short, but hopefully this week I won't have any interruptions. So let's pick up where we left off. Now... right. We'd just been to the festival day, and now he's come home and he is grumbling. Wallowing languidly in self-pity, I sprawl out over the covers, nestling against my pillow and letting out a deep sigh. I'm sure it doesn't matter if I fall asleep, since silence will probably wake me up again. Pretty impressive that he manages to remember a single guest among the hundreds who must be here. The skill of a royal butler, I suppose. I close my eyes and try to catch a little rest. However, I can't manage to slip into more than a light doze, tossing and turning from side to side. Either from lingering excitement or apprehension, I'm too restless to fall into a deep sleep. There's been too much stimulation today for an introvert like me, damn it. I probably haven't talked to so many people in years.
It's no use.
Opening my eyes, I grudgingly pulled myself up into a sitting position, staring through the balcony doors into the evening sky. A part of me wants to go out and lean on the balustrade, but I'd rather avoid a repeat of last night. As I sit on my bed contemplating what to do, a knock suddenly comes at my door. He's got such a fancy outfit. I slide off onto the floor and stride over to open it, but hesitate. It's probably just Silas, but what if it's someone who...
Have some balls, man. God's sake.
Scolding myself quietly, I pull the door open, although I take a little step back just to be safe. Who dis? Before me stands a young man, probably a couple of years my junior. I definitely don't recognize me. Why is he staring at me like I just morphed into a monster?
Sorry, sir. I got the wrong room.
Oh, well, don't worry about it. Looking for someone in particular?
Just Miss Celeste.
He's stuttering, well, perhaps acute at first, is quickly getting on my nerves.
Celeste, you say? I think I may have met her earlier. I didn't know she was in the same hall as me.
I thought she was, but maybe not. I'll go find her. Sorry again.
Right.
I watch as he scampers off down the corridor, hastily examining all the room numbers. What an odd boy. He's either very shy or completely out of sorts for some reason. I wonder how he knows Celeste. I'll have to ask her next time I run into her. Well, seeing as there's not much else for me to do, I might as well take a little stroll around the castle before I head downstairs. I stuff my hands in my pockets and mosey around the hallway corridor, making sure there's not an Arden lurking in wait. It seems to be clear, so I wander down the next hall with a relieved exhale. I make my way towards the general direction of the main hall, but with the occasional detour to admire tapestries and small alcoves decorated with paintings and plush chairs. There are probably a lot of interesting nooks and crannies in this place. After all, the king is known for his love of collecting things, including, apparently, collecting a bunch of foreigners who hate the Varrison bloodline.
Hmm?
Is that a person over there? Or a statue? Either way, they look very intent in what they're reading.
Oh, no.
As quickly as possible, I start to back away, praying not to be noticed. Shit. Damn these squeaky floorboards. I freeze in place as the tall man turns towards me, glasses flashing in the light.
Is that the little lint picker looking to creep up on me again?
Talk about holding a grudge. Deciding it's best to be polite rather than doing too much to get on his bad side, I clear my throat.
Inquisitor, I was just heading down to the main hall.
Linnaeus' eyes glint behind his glasses as he closes the book in his hands and saunters towards me.
I could have sworn there's a much simpler way to get to the main hall than through this back passage.
Well, I was exploring a little, you know. It's a shame to have all this fine art and no one to view it.
Huh.
After his scornful laugh, he taps a finger on the unmarked cover of his book, watching me suspiciously. I brace myself for what is undoubtedly an accusation, tensing slightly.
I suppose I owe you an apology.
What?
I tap the side of my head, wondering if my hearing's gone bad. Linnaeus lets out a humph in response, his eyes narrowing.
I was, perhaps, excessively rude earlier. There was an unexpected occurrence this morning that had put me in something of a foul mood.
It seems bizarre for him to actually be remorseful. Is he trying to make fun of me? I narrow my eyes at him slightly, trying to judge his intentions. Accept his apology. What's done is done. Oh dear. Trying to remember. I think accept his apology is his route. What's done is done. I don't believe that he's actually sorry at all. More than likely, he's trying to set me up for another insult. Well, I'm not falling for it.
I see. Well, what's done is done. We all have our sour moods every now and then. Some more than others.
Offering a concise reply, I briskly change the subject, not giving him time to come up with any further sour remarks.
Are you heading down as well? Are Grand Inquisitors free to mingle and dance with us common folk?
While my presence here is as a guest of His Majesty, I do not consider myself to ever be off-duty. After all, it is not as if treasonous men stop being treasonous during pleasant gatherings. If anything, the risk is higher.
Despite his haughty tone, it's hard to deny that he really does take his job seriously. I suppose it's one of those positions that doesn't allow much time for rest. Linnaeus turns and motions for me to follow him down the corridor, setting off in a brisk pace in the direction of the main hall. I catch up to his side and glance at his severe-looking profile, his eyes constantly scrutinizing the world around him from behind his glasses.
If you follow in your father's footsteps and wind up in His Highness's ring of advisors, it is best we learn to tolerate each other.
That sounds like a threat. He pauses for a moment, then his voice suddenly growing a little more hesitant.
There are many in his circle who I find to be of questionable nature. But nonetheless, it is not my duty to speak against his decisions.
I hope you didn't consider father to be of questionable nature.
His eyes flicked down towards me sharply. I met his gaze as best I can, even through that hawkish stare is quite difficult to be the subject of.
He is a man possessed of exceptional perceptiveness, enough so to rival my own. That is all I shall say.
I'll make sure to tell him. I'm sure he'd appreciate a compliment from a man like you.
Do I sense sarcasm in your voice? Need I remind you of our truce?
I pursed my lips doubtfully. Truce or not, I doubt he'll be inclined to hold back from insulting me if I slip up somewhere. This man is vicious. We emerge at the balcony of the main hall, where it seems guests are starting to gather in their formal attire. I noticed the girl from earlier, Celeste, was it? Standing next to an older, slightly rotund man, chatting happily. Her father, I wonder? The doors to the dining hall are soon opened by well-dressed attendants, and I walk with Linnaeus into the rather magnificent room.
Oh, is that the Grand Inquisitor? Who's Daddy's with? Are they brothers?
Brothers!
I want to marry a man like that, Regal.
Sounds like the Inquisitor is rather popular. I guess it makes sense. He is quite young, but he already holds one of the most important positions in court. After destroying potential rivals' will to live and crushing the opposition, no doubt.
The superficiality of court never fails to disgust me. I long for the day when a man is judged by his actions rather than his outward appearance.
I hate to tell you this, but you'll be longing for that day until you die. If appearances didn't matter here, we'd all be wearing burlap bags.
Perhaps you should be the trendsetter, A burlap bag on your head would undoubtedly be an improvement.
Well, I set myself up for that one. We get closer to the massive table. As it seems there's no predetermined seating, something unusual for an event of this caliber, but maybe the king wants a more relaxed atmosphere? Guests seem to be sitting down with their friends and relatives, and there seem to be a few blushing courtships in progress before even the soup is served. I spot Arden already seated, looking rather uncomfortable and surrounded by what looks like a bunch of old ladies. Aunts, maybe? His grandmother definitely did pop out quite a few daughters, if I remember correctly. Oh, okay. Pop them out. There's no free seating around him, although it's not like I need another dose of Arden again so soon anyway.
Well, I assume there are individuals who would appreciate your company more than myself, so this is presumably where we part ways.
I turn to see Linnaeus staring past me idly, his eyes following the servants skittering about with preparations.
You've already got a seat in mind?
Not particularly. If I find one with a view of the dining room I like, I shall politely request its occupant to vacate.
He smirks somewhat evilly, a rather sadistic glint shining through the lens of his glasses. Talk about abuse of power.
Well, you're far from my ideal dinner partner, but I don't see anyone else I know around, and I'd rather not be sought out by a certain lady from last night.
I grimace. The saccharine cooing replaying itself all too vividly in my ears.
Flattering! Have you already been caught up in my suave charm like those admirers from earlier?
You You have almost about as much charm as a pile of bricks, I remark silently to myself, following Linnaeus over to a vacant set of seats. We settle down in our surprisingly comfortable chairs, neither of us inclined to share many more words as we wait for the meal to begin. Just as I begin reciting poetry in my head out of sheer boredom, the empty chair on my side opposite Linnaeus is suddenly pulled out. Thrilled at the idea of a potentially more exciting conversation partner, I quickly cast a welcoming smile upwards.
Ah, greetings. My name is...
Don't you think I know your name by now, little kitten?
A tall, tanned man lowers himself into the seat beside me, pulling himself up close, a wide and wolfish grin on his lips.
Oh, Fortuna, why must you torture me so?
As Franz chuckles contently and leers at me, Linnaeus, who was watching something in the distance, suddenly turns his attention towards us.
Oh? I was under the impression you had no friends, Varrison, other than your father and that oaf of a guard.
He is the farthest thing from a friend, let me tell you.
A scrutinizing, gleeful glimmer fills Linnaeus's glasses visibly.
Ah, I see. Well, we do live in a progressive time. There's nothing wrong with two men deeply in love.
I audibly grind my teeth together while Franz lets out a delighted laugh, taking those words as his cue to curl his arm around my shoulders. Maybe I'll get lucky and someone will poison my wine while I'm not looking. I'm over here, assassins! Yoo-hoo!
You hear that? Nothing wrong with giving in to your desires.
God, I love Franz so much.
However, it is entirely inappropriate for Varrison's son to frolic with an obvious foreigner. You should cease such disgusting actions immediately.
Linnaeus' voice suddenly grows much frostier, a clear look of mistrust on his sharp features as he watches Franz, lips curled in disgust or distaste. To my surprise, the broad smirk on Franz's face suddenly flickers a little, his own expression darkening somewhat. He glances over Linnaeus for a moment. In what's probably the first time I've seen him look annoyed.
Grand Inquisitor, right? I see the king has played one of his trump cards a little early.
Trump card? Why in heaven's name would he need to do that?
I think you know as well as I do, Inquisitor. But I'm sure you've got everything under control.
I swear, I feel like I'm sitting between two cannonballs pointed at each other. The sudden animosity in the air is thicker than a bowl of uncooked porridge. I should do something before it explodes. He's so cute.
Look, they're bringing the food out, finally. I'm completely famished, aren't you two?
They continue to glower at each other, even as the servants place an array of tantalizing platters out in front of us, filled with dishes of both vegetables and meats.
Wow, they brought desserts too! My goodness, look at all that cake! I'm almost tempted to skip the main courses.
Awkward boy. To my immense relief, Franz pulls away from the staring contest first, his eyes shifting from Linnaeus to me. Lingering antagonism in his stare makes me cringe a little, considering I'm accustomed to his usual bedroom eyes. That iciness quickly melts away, however, and he reaches out to squeeze my shoulder with unnerving intimacy.
Sweets for the sweet, they say. You should eat all the cake you like, kitten. It'll make your lips taste sublime, I'm sure.
He starts to pick from a few dishes to fill his plate, humming to himself in a show of nonchalance.
What irresponsible advice. Replenish your energy properly with a balanced meal, Varrison.
Chiding me with a click of his tongue, Linnaeus also reaches forward to elegantly serve himself some of the spread before us, casting a quick side glance in my direction. The tension clearly remains hanging between them, but just because they're acting all haughty doesn't mean I should starve myself. I eye the dishes, contemplating whether to splurge or not. Have some cake. Have a proper meal. Have a proper meal. You can have cake after. Figuring Linnaeus' advice, while admittedly unexciting, is more reasonable, I pull up a vegetable dish rather reluctantly. It does smell rather good, I have to say. At least the king doesn't cut corner with his cooks.
Good boy. Perhaps you'll grow up big and strong, if you take care of yourself more.
I'm pretty sure I'm old enough to have stopped growing.
Looking a little disappointed, Fran stabs at the cake I was eyeing earlier with a fork, pulling off a strawberry on top and chewing it moodily. I doubt he eats many sweets normally, though, considering how well built he seems to be. I'm lucky to still have a slim physique despite my distaste for vegetables.
Oh, by the way, have either of you picked out your costumes for the masquerade yet? I forgot to look for a mask today.
Deciding to change the subject, I picked up my glass of wine and peer at the two men over the top. My rather spontaneous question doesn't get a response, but Linnaeus lets out a short, light snort.
The entire affair is ridiculous, if you ask me. The fanciful concept of a masquerade is so contrived, it makes my stomach churn.
I think they're enchanting. Mystery only adds to the beauty of things, after all.
Murmuring a little dreamily, Franz trails a finger along the rim of his own glass, watching me with a subtle smile.
Something like that, perhaps.
Mysteries only cause problems in mortal existence. One should dedicate one's career to providing answers, not questions.
That's the attitude of a man with no romance in his life. You wouldn't be able to understand.
Awkward!
Is that the new one?
Aren't they taking this a little too seriously? It's a damn masquerade! Should we have a toast? After we're each served a fresh glass with the fruity liquid, both Linnaeus and Franz turn from glaring at each other to watching me expectantly. Well, I guess I was the one who proposed a toast. In that case, let's toast to... to success. To love. Arden's a romantic. To success. Boring. To love.
To the beauty of love, and to the hope that our lives shall be filled with it as we forge our paths as great men.
As I make a show of gazing inspiringly into the distance, I find myself wondering how I even got into this situation. Well, I'd rather them laugh at me than stare daggers at each other.
That was
Adorable indeed.
With the moment of silence broken, Franz leans in to press his lips against my ear, murmuring lowly.
I'll fill your life with love if you wish, little kitten. And there are other things I can fill too.
Too late for YouTube. I forcefully guide Fran's shoulder back out of my bubble of personal space, and he snickers delightedly all the while. If I weren't a refined gentleman, I'd dump my wine into his lap right now. Ah, do it! Do it, do it, do it, do it! That'd be funny. I bet that would get rid of his infuriating little smirk. We continued to dine for a little while longer, the two men exchanging frequent jabs in between my forced attempt to mediate. Finally, unable to stand much more of the incredible awkwardness, I push out my chair and rise to my feet.
Well, it seems like they're opening the doors to the ballroom. I think I'll go catch a bit of fresh air before all that dancing starts.
Not sticking around to even hear a reply, I quickly toss my napkin on the chair and hasten towards the main hall. Luckily, there are a few people who have left the dining hall to chatter privately or stroll around, so I don't look too out of place.
Never again.
I have no idea how I got caught up in that situation, but it is certainly one I don't want to repeat. Those two are bad enough by themselves, yet somehow get exponentially worse together. Ugh. Finding my way to one of the back doors, I step out into the gardens and take a deep breath of the night air. The sounds of laughter and the clinking of silverware become distant, barely audible through the castle walls. There's an ornate stone bench nested amongst the hedges and the fragrant bushes, so I lower myself onto it with a soft sigh. It feels amazing. My dining chair, however plush, turned out to provide a miserable experience, nestling between an unstoppable force and an immovable object. I clasp my hands behind my head and gaze up at the sky, where the almost full moon floats in a sea of stars. It looks so serene and peaceful, two words that don't even seem to have any place at this bustling celebration. All the grandiose parties I've been to with my father in the past weren't nearly as magnificent in scale. That's right. My family. A smile gradually forms on my lips as I fondly wonder what they're doing right now. Father, mother, my little sister, who's a few years older than Hazel is. If I have a family of my own someday, will they all get embroiled in these endless politics and quarrels? I think I'd rather have a quiet life in the countryside than forced to keep dabbling in court affairs. And I'd never want my family to be in a situation like this.
Would I be able to give up fine wines and full days of just lazing around and reading, though? Rural life sounds like hard work.
I pluck a rose from one of the bushes nearby, admiring the soft petals as I cup it in my hands. Minding the thorns, though, of course. Arden, Linnaeus, Franz. They all seem so at home here, like they were born to be around bustling crowds and courtly intrigue. Arden doesn't seem to like it that much, not gonna lie. Could I ever be someone like that? do I want to be? A part of me is perfectly happy with who I am now, but another smaller part of me wants more. To dance, to charm others, to read politics as well as I used to read my favorite picture books as a little boy. But I wonder if it's really worth it, or if it'll ever happen. They say you can change yourself into what you really want to be if you try hard enough, but it feels like some parts of myself are just immutable, a core part of who I really am. Who am I? Well, an avid reader, a purveyor of delicious sweets, the son of the best military strategist in our kingdom's history. And, incidentally, still very much a Nearby, a faint rustling sound startles me from my thoughts. If I strain my ears, I can barely hear the sound of whispering, just like yesterday during the dance. Gritting my teeth in determination to find this mysterious whisperer, I creep closer in its direction as quietly as I can.
Back inside.
Let them hear.
A few phrases are indiscernible, but I can't really figure out what they're saying. But for some reason, ominous words echo in the back of my mind. Mark my words. Something unpleasant is going to happen. And I think I'm going to leave it there for today. I'm always looking for good points to stop rather than how long it goes. About half an hour at the moment, which is I try not to go below half an hour, but it's harder to find like good places to actually stop that makes like kind of clean episodes. But I think this is a good place. So tune in next time to find out. Tune in. It's like a radio. Tune in next time to see what unpleasant things are going to happen. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye! Thank you for joining us. If you liked this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button for all the latest videos, new covers or Let's Plays every weekend. You can also find us on Twitter at CocoLuCovers or on our new Discord, Cats on a Lily Pad. Catch you in the next one.